Fresh off of its DLC Milwaukee win, is Purple Steel the best deck heading into set 10? Whispers in the Well is bringing quite a few new tools to this deck, and I'm pretty excited for it. It's actually one of those 3 decks that I have locked in as a tier 1 deck. I do think that, Spooky Sight is kind of a scary card for this deck, because anyone who plays it avidly knows you run a lot of 3-drops. Maybe not a ton of 1s and 2s, but enough that, you could potentially get hit pretty hard by a Spooky Sight. So how is that going to change the deck moving forward, and why do I still think that this deck is one of, if not the deck to beat? So kind of just starting at the top, I guess. My 1-drops, I elected to go with just the 7. Diablo in there for some card draw, and then Captain Hook being an option for that challenger status, being able to control the board. And maybe these shift around and change a little bit when the format, I guess, develops, if you will. Just for right now, I like the utility that each of these cards brings to the deck. But with things like Dumbo, maybe Happy works his way back in there. And then obviously there's going to be other cards. But again, I think especially at the start of the format, these 2 are the 2 that are probably the best to lock in. A handful of people decide just to play the 1 Madam Mim, but I don't know, giving Challenger +1 to everything always felt pretty good to me. Giving your Genie Dragon the ability to take out a Genie 2-quester in one swing always felt pretty strong. Same with your Dumbo. Making your Genie the 2-quester take out a Dumbo, again, always felt pretty strong to me. So I do really like that the utility that Mim gives. If I decide to go more back end with this deck, like more into the 4 or 5 drops and maybe even some more 6s, definitely Madam Mim is one of those cards that will get cut down, put her down to a 1 of. But our first new card, so Black Heron, and there's not much else to say about her. She's an inkable 3/3 just beater. That's what she does. Some people were playing Raja in their decks in last format, and she's essentially Raja without Vanish. So it's obviously going to be a little bit better if Strength with no characters on board doesn't take her out. Fire the Cannons doesn't take her out. Your opponent not being able to just target her and take her out is going to be pretty nice. And because of the fact that she's inkable, I did go down to 2 Calhouns. We also got quite a few new draw tools, so I think 2 Doc is plenty in the deck. Giant Cobra. A lot of the time it comes down, it's just a 3-drop to sing your strength, right? And obviously it's one of those cards like White Rose that can close a game out. So I don't want to take away or say this card isn't good. If you want to play 4, absolutely, it's a great card still. But trying to make concessions to build up the back end of the deck a little bit better, this was one of those concessions that I needed to make. I was like, I think 3 is enough to work. But at the end of the day, if you want to play 4, I will not fault you for that at all. I like to have different play lines and be a little bit aggressive, if you will. So Tinkerbell Fast Flyer is a card that I've always loved, and the fact that she quests for 2 comes in early in the game, I really like. Again, Spooky Sight's a card that could take this out, but you do open up shift lines by playing her. And in addition to that, if you can get her down and get a couple turns of questing out of her, if she ends up in your Inkwell after getting you 4 lore, that's a trade that I can usually live with. Finishing off our 3s then, we do have the Genie Dragon. Put him down to a 3 of because he is evasive on your turn, so it does still pair up with Dumbo really nicely. But Lexington is a nice addition to the deck, our first alert card. So a 4/4 beat stick that can go ahead and take on your opponent's evasive characters. That's obviously going to be very strong. And I've seen other people trying to play this at 4. I think 2 is plenty. We already deal with evasives really well. I think that it's not really an area of struggle. The Stone by Day effect might not hit too bad, but at the same time, this deck is known to generate advantage. So at times, it's not going to be the greatest card. It's just going to sit there on board, which I guess is a body for strength at the least to deal with those Spooky Sights. Are you going to try to go under the blue decks, or are you going to try to go a little quicker in the beginning, know that it's coming, and then slow and pivot and stop, and all of a sudden turn around and play a mid game afterwards. I guess that choice is up to you. But if you can start racing them and have a Pete or two in hand and push that spooky sight off for an entire turn, and they're planning on using it, 1 or 2 Petes in your hand can really throw a wrench in their plan. So I definitely think Pete is going to find his way right back into this format and be all over the place. In addition to the new Thunderbolt song, Pete is definitely a force to be reckoned with once again. Dumbo is Dumbo. Like I said already, this deck I think plays evasives better than any other deck in the game. That includes Blurple. I think that this deck just really can control the board with them, and the natural draws you can get off of your Dumbo, and likewise characters, I guess by off your Dumbo I'm talking about the characters it allows it to do. The advantage this card generates is just crazy. Like I said, especially if you're playing like Happy on 1, you could even have Jafar on 2, Genie on 3, Dumbo on 4, and then turn 5 you can draw 4 more cards if really needed, or you just come in on turn 5 or 6 with your Dumbo and get 1 or 2 immediate draws. Lots of different things that you can do. Like I said, we'll see how the format exactly develops, but for what I'm kind of expecting, I do definitely think that catering towards Dumbo in purple steel decks is going to be the right call. Going into those 4-drop spots, Genie's a 4 of, or I shouldn't say going into, finishing out the 4-drop spots, going into the 5s. I don't think anyone's going to argue that Genie's a 4 of in this deck. That's pretty much the gist of it. That's it. That's all I got to say. On to our 5s. 2 Belle, 4 Elsas, 2 Hades, one of our new cards as well. And honestly, I was going to play this card at 4 because I think this card is crazy, and I very well might end up playing this card at 4. Like, the fact that I either out your character or I draw 2 just feels like it shouldn't be fair. It feels like it shouldn't be inkable, that's for sure. And I did see one comment where they had said, like, well, if they only have a bad character on board, it just feels bad when they just sack their character. If they only have a bad character on board, keep it in your hand. Don't use it. You don't have to play it. It's not like he's a strong board presence. He's a 3/4/1 quester. If they don't have a good character on board that you're going to out or get the draw, don't play it. Hold it in your hand until a better time. So you don't just have to like throw cards down because you can, I guess, is the meaning behind that. Jasmine, Fearless Princess. I really like her. Was kind of gonna play her at 1 right now, but I decided I don't really want to play current format much right now. I'm devoting all my attention in towards next set, basically. Why? Because we're a week away, and we did last week hit our 6,000 subscriber giveaway. So you guys know what that means. We're going to give away a box of Fabled. We've been sitting on it for quite a while. I said during one video this week, I'd tell you what you have to do. And what I would like you to do, comment down below your favorite card in this deck list. That's pretty much all you have to do. That and be subscribed. So we'll see who's actually watching the video. Some more new cards. Demona. I ended up putting her up to 4. Like I said, trying to play a bit more into that mid-game, those 5-6 drops. So when you play her, obviously, we exert their entire board. And how many games or matchups do you get where you have this stalemate? Like, I'm playing cards, you're playing cards, I'm playing cards, you're playing cards. We're both going wide, and it's a chess match. Like, okay, when is it okay to turn? When is it okay to pluck off a card? Do I play an Elsa, tap that down, challenge? What do I challenge into it with where your comeback turn isn't going to lose me the advantage? If you get to Demona first and you can exert your opponent's entire board, you can make all the smart trades and put your opponent in a very, very bad position. And for that reason, I think that she's just absolutely insane. One of many cards in this set. Like, this is probably like the most meta defining set we've ever had. And maybe that's a stretch, but I don't know. Like, Floodborn changed a lot, I guess. The whole bounce package, the Merlins, the goats, the rabbits. Cinderella for Steel Song, some more songs for Steel Song. I don't know that we've had a set that changed the meta outside of rotation. Obviously, that, fabled rotation, but that was more on the rotation than the set itself. This might be the most meta changing set we've had since the game's inception. And Demona is one of those cards. Another one of those cards is Goliath. It's like the gargoyles are kind of good, and that's why they have the Stone by Day effect at the bottom, where if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, they cannot ready. But naturally, the clan leader is going to have a solution for that. At the end of your turn, if you have more than 2 cards, discard down to 2. So that way your next turn, you ready, then you do any effects, and then you draw. But by then, your cards are already readied. In addition to that, if your opponent's generating a lot of advantage, end of their turn, they have to discard down to 2 cards. And lastly, if you don't have 2 cards, you actually get to draw cards at the end of your turn. Like I said, he really just fixes a lot of the things that are holding the other gargoyles back. So the Demona and the Lexington both getting a nice little boost from the Goliath there. The one of Tinkerbell, I like her for the shift line. I just like her in general overall as well. Then we got the 4 strengths and 2, he hurled his thunderbolts, dealing 4 damage to chosen character. I would say your deity characters get +2 challenger, but if you go ahead and look through, we have Hades. Outside of Hades, we don't have any deity characters. So I guess don't forget that. If you do use your he hurled a thunderbolt, and you use not your Hades to sing it, your Hades does get challenger +2 that turn if it's on board. So that means he's going to be swinging 4/5. Don't forget that part, because I guarantee a lot of people are going to forget that part. So they're going to be like, okay, I'm going to deal the 4 damage, and then overlook the challenger because Hades is once again a deity character. So, like I said, lots of new tools coming in for the deck. I think that its ability to play quick in the early game and then kind of slow its roll and reset and then just pivot into a mid to late game deck is very strong for it. The consistency that it has, the toolbox from like challenging and getting lore like Calhoun to getting lore instantaneously like Giant Cobra to being able to stop actions like Pete or having all your evases, and the deck has so much going for it, and I truly think that it's going to be one of the 3 or 4 tier 1 decks that we have once again in this format. I'll be excited to see where it ends up, but what do you guys think for Purple Steel moving on into our Whispers in the Well format? Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all of the support, and as always, take care.